I've been sitting at JFK Airport for 3 hours, refreshing my phone every 30 seconds, waiting for a message to change. It doesn't. Still the same sentence. Still the same casual punctuation. Sorry. Something came up with the guys. You can go alone if you want. I read it again, even though I know every word by heart now. My fingers are cold from gripping the phone too tightly. In my other hand, 2 boarding passes are bent at the edges. 2 tickets I printed weeks ago, back when we still existed as a solid thing. 3 years together. Our anniversary. We'd planned this trip for months, a long weekend in Napa Valley, just the 2 of us. I requested time off early. I packed carefully. I even bought a dress I normally wouldn't have allowed myself to buy, soft fabric, fitted at the waist, the kind of dress you imagine wearing under warm lights at a quiet restaurant where someone looks at you like you're the only person in the room. And he didn't come. At first, I told myself something bad must have happened. An accident. A crisis. I watched the departure board like it might explain everything. But then, without thinking, I opened social media. And there he was. Ethan, my fiancé, smiling across a polished table at a downtown Manhattan steakhouse, surrounded by people I barely recognize anymore. New coworkers. New friends. Everyone dressed sharp. Wine glasses catching the light. The photo was posted 20 minutes ago. While I was checking my watch. While I was wondering if I should call hospitals. While I was trying not to cry in the middle of Terminal 4. Something breaks inside me, but strangely, I don't cry. I stare at the photo for a full minute. Then something unexpected happens. I smile. Not because it doesn't hurt. But because suddenly, with crystal clarity, everything makes sense. The last few months replay in my head like a movie I finally understand. The engagement that should have been the happiest moment of my life quietly became the beginning of the end. Ethan got promoted. New title. New circle. New version of himself. And somehow, I didn't fit into it. You should be more independent, he'd started saying. You can't rely on me for everything. But I never relied on him for everything. I had my own job. My own friends. My own life. All I wanted was to share moments. Build memories. That's what people in love are supposed to do. To him, that became neediness. Weekends turned into cancellations. Plans became maybe. Even his oldest friends slowly disappeared from his life, replaced by these polished, ambitious people who thought a 3-year relationship mattered less than a networking dinner. And now he's sure of one thing. That I'll cancel the trip. That I'll go home quietly. That I won't dare get on that plane alone. Because he thinks he knows me. What Ethan never bothered to learn, too busy becoming someone else, is who I actually am. I stand up. My suitcase rolls smoothly beside me as I walk toward the airline counter. My heart is pounding, but my hands are steady. I cancel his ticket first. Then I change my destination. When the agent hands me my new boarding pass and says, "Have a great trip," I thank her with a real smile, the first genuine one I've felt in weeks. As I step onto the plane, my chest fills with something unfamiliar and electric. Not fear. Anticipation. Freedom. The quiet thrill of finally doing something just for myself. When the plane lifts off and New York shrinks beneath the clouds, I imagine Ethan checking his phone later, waiting to see a sad post from me back home. Waiting for confirmation that he was right. What he's going to see instead will make his phone start ringing. And it won't stop. The flight is just over 6 hours, but time stretches and collapses in strange ways when your life quietly splits in two at 30,000 feet. I don't sleep. I don't watch movies. I sit with my knees tucked slightly to the side, fingers wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that's gone cold, staring out the window as clouds slide past like erased thoughts. Somewhere over the Atlantic, my phone buzzes for the first time since takeoff. I don't look. I already know who it is. When the plane lands at Logan Airport in Boston, it's early morning. The sky is pale blue, the kind that promises a clean start even if you don't quite believe in those anymore. I turn my phone on properly while waiting at baggage claim. 17 missed calls. A flood of messages. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? This isn't funny. Call me. I slide the phone back into my coat pocket without responding. Instead, I text my sister. I'm here. Her reply comes instantly. Where? Boston. What? At the airport. Stay right there. I'm coming. 45 minutes later, I spot her weaving through the crowd, messy bun, oversized sweater, that familiar determined walk. When she sees me, she drops her tote bag and wraps her arms around me so tightly I forget how to breathe. Hey, she says softly. You're okay. You're here. And that's when I realize something surprising. I am okay. Not fixed. Not healed. But, steady. On the drive to her apartment in Cambridge, I tell her everything. About the airport. The text. The photo. The dinner. I expect anger, maybe tears on my behalf. Instead, she grips the steering wheel harder than necessary. He didn't just miss a trip, she says. He chose a different life and expected you to wait politely on standby. Her apartment is warm, full of books and plants and mismatched furniture that somehow works. She shows me the guest room, the one she's kept ready for years, just in case. Clean sheets. Soft light. A window that looks out onto brick buildings and bare winter trees. Over coffee, she says something casually that makes my heart stutter. You know you can stay as long as you want, right? I laugh at first. I can't just. Your job went fully remote months ago, she reminds me. You literally can. I freeze. She's right. My company closed its office last spring. I could work from anywhere. I just, never considered it. My life had been scheduled around Ethan's calendar, his stress levels, his availability. Stay a month, she adds gently. Or 2. Or however long it takes for you to remember what you like. The idea settles in my chest, warm and dangerous. That afternoon, we walk through the city, small cafes, used bookstores, quiet streets dusted with old snow. At Boston Common, she takes a photo of me sitting on a bench, coat wrapped around my legs, sunlight hitting my face just right. I'm smiling. Not politely. Not carefully. Really smiling. I'm posting this, I say, already opening my phone. The caption is simple. Sometimes the best plan is the one you never made. 10 minutes later, my phone starts vibrating. Ethan. I don't answer. It rings again. And again. And again. My sister raises an eyebrow. You gonna pick up? Not yet, I say, slipping the phone into my bag. I decide when we talk now. That night, as we eat pasta at her kitchen counter, my phone shows 25 missed calls. 25 moments where Ethan realizes something is slipping out of his control. When my sister goes to bed, I step onto the small balcony and answer call number 26. Claire. His voice is strained, unfamiliar. Where are you? I let the silence stretch. Hi, Ethan, I say finally. How was your fancy dinner? That doesn't matter, he snaps. Why are you in Boston? Why didn't you tell me? I almost laugh. Why would I? I ask calmly. You told me to go alone. So I did. But Boston, he says, incredulous. You only ever go there for months. Our trip was supposed to be 3 days. Was. There is no our trip anymore, I say softly. He exhales sharply. You're overreacting. It was just one dinner. We can plan another trip. That word, overreacting, flips a switch inside me. When was the last time you chose me? I ask. Not squeezed me in. Not postponed me. Chose me. Silence. I've been busy, he finally says. You know, work has been intense. Busy enough for dinners every weekend, I reply. Just never with me. This is ridiculous, he mutters. When are you coming back? We need to talk in person. Here it is. The question he's afraid of. Why would I come back in 3 days? I ask. I don't have a reason to. His breathing quickens. What does that mean? It means I can be anywhere, I say. And right now, I'm somewhere I'm wanted. Claire. I have to go, I interrupt. Before he can respond, I hang up. And for the first time since the airport, my hands don't shake. The days begin to blur, not because they're empty, but because they're finally full. Mornings in Cambridge develop a rhythm I didn't know I'd been missing. I wake up to the sound of my sister grinding coffee beans, the smell drifting down the hallway before I even open my eyes. We sit at the small kitchen table in sweaters and socks, talking about nothing important and everything that somehow feels necessary. When she leaves for work, I open my laptop. And something unexpected happens. Without constantly checking my phone, without waiting for messages that might cancel my mood, I focus. Deeply. Completely. I finish projects I'd been dragging around for weeks. Ideas flow faster. My shoulders stop aching. I realize how much mental space Ethan had been occupying, how much energy I spent bracing for disappointment. In the afternoons, my sister introduces me to her world. Friends stop by. Colleagues. People who sit with us at cafes and ask questions, and actually listen to the answers. A graphic designer who talks passionately about typography. A high school history teacher who laughs with his whole body. A startup founder who asks me what I want to build next, not who I'm engaged to. No one refers to me as Ethan's fiancé. They call me Claire. And for the first time in months, I feel seen. A week after I arrive, I'm chopping vegetables for dinner when my phone lights up with a message from my mom. Ethan called me, it reads. He sounded frantic. He wants me to convince you to come back. I pause, knife hovering over the cutting board. What did you tell him? I type. Her reply takes longer than usual. I told him that maybe it's time he learns people don't wait forever. And that you deserve someone who chooses you first. My throat tightens. Minutes later, another message comes in, this time from Ethan's mother, Linda. She's always been kind to me, in a quiet, observant way. Claire, she writes. Ethan told me what happened. I need you to know something. I warned him this would happen. I sit down. I watched how he treated you these last months, her message continues. I remember the surprise dinner you planned for his birthday. You invited our whole family. Cooked his favorite meal. He arrived 4 hours late and didn't even apologize because he was out with friends. I told him then he was making a terrible mistake. I close my eyes. That night flashes back with painful clarity, the candles burned low, food gone cold, my practiced smile cracking just enough for no one to notice. You are an extraordinary woman, Linda finishes. And I'm sorry he didn't see that when it mattered. My phone rings again that evening. Ethan. This time, his voice is different. Quieter. Broken around the edges. My mom talked to me, he says. She said things I didn't want to hear. Anne. I'm sorry. I really am. I step out onto the balcony. The city glows below, steady and indifferent in the best way. Do you remember what you used to tell me? I ask. That I was too dependent. That I needed to learn how to be alone. Yes, he says cautiously. You weren't completely wrong, I reply. But not for the reason you think. I needed this, not because I depended on you, but because I forgot who I was without you. There's silence. I'm better here, I continue. Clearer. Calmer. I'm working better. Living better. A notification pops up on my laptop behind me. My boss. Claire, your work this week has been exceptional. Your productivity and quality have noticeably improved. Keep it up. I read it twice. Ethan always implied I needed his support to function properly. And yet, here I am. What was that? He asks. A reminder, I say. That I'm okay. More than okay. He swallows. So, what does this mean for us? I look out at the lights again. It means I'm not coming back anytime soon, I say gently. I'm building a life I want. If you ever want to be part of it, that'll take real change. Not promises. Not panic. And if I change, he asks quickly. Then do it for yourself, I answer. Not to keep me. After I hang up, I stay on the balcony a long time. My sister joins me, handing me a blanket. He thought he knew you, she says softly. He thought you were weak. I shake my head. I wasn't weak, I say. I was choosing him. And now, for the first time in 3 years, I'm choosing myself. Time does something strange when you stop waiting for someone else to decide your schedule. Days turn into weeks, and the city slowly stops feeling temporary. I learn which cafe has the best almond croissants, which streets are quiet enough to think, which corner of the Charles River is perfect for walking at dusk when the air smells like water and old brick. I start running in the mornings. Nothing dramatic, just a steady pace, headphones in, hair pulled back, breath syncing with my steps. My body feels different. Lighter. Stronger. Like it belongs to me again. Ethan still texts. At first, it's constant. Long messages. Apologies. Memories carefully selected to pull at something soft inside me. I'm going to therapy. I've been thinking a lot about us. I finally see what I did wrong. I don't answer right away. Not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. I read his words the way you read an article you already understand. Interesting. Familiar. No urgency. One evening, after work, my sister invites a few friends over. Wine. Music low in the background. People sprawled comfortably across the living room like they belong there. There's a man named Mark, early 40s, quiet confidence, rolled up sleeves, a watch that's clearly worn because he actually uses it. He listens more than he talks. When he does speak, it's thoughtful, slightly amused, never performative. At one point, we end up standing near the window, city lights reflecting faintly on the glass. So, he says casually, what brought you to Boston? I consider giving a polished answer. A vague one. Instead, I tell the truth. I was left at an airport. He doesn't flinch. Doesn't rush to fill the silence. That'll do it, he says simply. We talk about work. About travel. About how strange it is to realize your life has been built around someone else's priorities. He doesn't flirt overtly. He doesn't lean in too close. But when he laughs, his eyes stay on mine a second longer than necessary. And I notice. Not because I need it. But because I can. Later that night, after everyone leaves, I check my phone. A missed call from Ethan. One message. Please. Just tell me if there's still a chance. I sit on the edge of the bed, phone resting loosely in my hand. A chance. The old me would have answered immediately. Would have reassured him. Would have softened the truth so he wouldn't feel afraid. Instead, I type slowly. I don't know. And that's the honest answer. 3 dots appear almost instantly. Is there someone else? I pause. There are people, I write back. And that matters. The reply takes longer this time. I see. I lie back and stare at the ceiling, feeling something settle into place. Not relief. Not sadness. Acceptance. The next morning, my sister watches me tie my running shoes. "You're different," she says. "You know that, right?" I smile. "I know." That afternoon, an email comes in from my company's HR department. "We're offering you the option to formally transition to long-term remote status. No location requirement." I read it twice. Then a third time. My life isn't on pause anymore. That evening, I walk alone along the river as the sun dips low, the sky streaked with soft orange and gray. I think about the woman I was at the airport, holding 2 tickets, waiting for permission to move. I think about the woman I am now, moving forward without asking. My phone buzzes one last time. "Ethan. I don't want to lose you," the message says. I stop walking. For a moment, I consider how easy it would be to turn back. To return to something familiar. To be chosen after being almost lost. But then I remember how it felt to be an option. I type one final reply. "Then you shouldn't have treated me like one." I put the phone away and keep walking, the city opening up in front of me, wide, uncertain, and entirely mine. There's a quiet moment that arrives after you make a decision you can't undo. It doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic music. It arrives on an ordinary morning, when sunlight spills across the floor and you realize you're not bracing for anything anymore. I wake up early. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Boston is fully awake now. Spring has settled in, softening the edges of the city. Trees along the river are green again. The air smells like rain and coffee drifting out of corner cafes. My sister is already up, reading at the table. "You look peaceful," she says, glancing at me over her mug. "I feel peaceful," I answer, surprised by how true it is. Weeks have passed since the airport. Weeks since I stopped measuring my days by Ethan's mood, his availability, his apologies. He hasn't called in a while now. No missed calls. No long messages. Just silence. And it doesn't hurt. Work has changed in ways I didn't expect. My confidence shows up in meetings before I do. My ideas land. People listen. I'm no longer apologizing for taking up space. I'm offered a leadership role on a new project, one that will require travel, visibility, trust. I say yes without hesitation. One afternoon, as I'm packing my laptop bag to head to a cafe, I find the old boarding passes tucked into the side pocket. The ones I couldn't throw away at first. JFK to Napa. 2 seats. 1 unused. I hold them for a moment. Then I tear them cleanly in half and drop them into the trash. That evening, I meet my sister's friends again, same apartment, same soft music, same laughter spilling into the hallway. Mark is there. He smiles when he sees me, not surprised, not possessive. Just present. We talk. We walk. Nothing is promised. Nothing is rushed. And that feels right. Later, alone on the balcony, my phone vibrates one final time. A message from Ethan. "I understand now. I hope you're happy." I look out over the city lights, steady and endless. "I am," I type back. And I mean it. Not because everything is perfect. Not because I found someone new. But because I found myself again. I think back to that woman sitting in the airport, staring at her phone, convinced that being left behind meant being unwanted. If I could speak to her now, I'd tell her this. Sometimes abandonment isn't a loss. Sometimes it's an exit. And sometimes, the moment you stop waiting to be chosen is the moment your real life begins.